Good evening, folks. Welcome to today's live stream. Thank you for your patience. Still feeling a little under the weather, but let's dive right into this Bitcoin analysis. So, we are holding our long-term support right on top of that 1.25 standard deviation of the daily 500 moving average. This is very similarly to the weekly 50 moving average, and historically has held in the previous bull run. However, if this support does break, I am expecting a full retracement to around 8,500, which is this level right here. So, even though we have successfully held this support value here for quite some time, I do believe if we dip any lower, we will see a very deep retrace. Now, if this deep retrace does hit, I would still expect eventual trend continuation. However, I would not attempt to try to catch the bottom, right? We would attempt to try for a bullish mean reversion condition on a lower time frame or a daily 14-period CCI roll for entry into trend. If we take a look at one of the previous bull runs, or rather the previous bull run, and let's just load up the BLX ticker so we can have a full history of that price action. Right, we can look at both that 500 period and the 14 period CCI. Right, so quad CCI is going to be your friend here. Essentially, whenever you have significant weighting to the upside and you get a 14 period CCI roll like here, here, those are all going to be long positions for the macro level trend. Right, and since we're currently in a downward expansion for the current bout of Bitcoin, let's just point out where these longs would have taken place, shall we? Right. So those longs would have happened, beautiful. So the first place the 14 period CCI rollup happens is right here. Right, so we just mentioned that we were using the 500 period as support in the previous bull run, which had held true for quite some time with multiple retests on that value before a single large wick to the downside before trend continuation. I do feel like if we break this long-term support, we would be liable to do the same thing, that same liquidity hunt, right? So instead of trying to catch the falling knife, just wait for that 14 period CCI rollup on the daily chart to actually get your entry into trend. There's really no reason to be in a long position right now because we are going to get a significant long signal as soon as that rollup does occur. With that in mind, we can also take this to the next level by looking at shorter time frames and mean reversion conditions, right? So because downward, or rather any significant move generates a large amount of distributional width, we can get readings of mass, or just that, distributional width, which in turn forms mean reversion pivots, which in turn allows us to accurately define periods of expansion and compression. As long as we are in a true state of expansion, like here, or what we're currently seeing here, we are going to get significant trend, or at least what appears to be significant trend. Because we can still get significant expansions and then immediately dart inside the mean reversion condition. The good news is when that happens, we can take the respective position, right? For instance, two things that are really similar right now, or rather all these expansions have one common thing, where we get the initial downward expansion here, and then the mean reversion condition jumps up before continuing down, and we're actually getting that same thing here. So we do have downward trend right now. However, we also have that long-term daily support. So instead of betting on that long-term daily support, what we can do instead is simply wait for the mean reversion condition to activate, which would be right here, right? So when we enter inside the band, the downward trend is over, which results in bullish mean reversion. And if you have bullish mean reversion on top of a long-term support, well, then it could quite possibly mean long-term reversal, All right, that's what we want to bet on. Since we're on long-term support right now, if we get a short-term reversal and a high probability reversal at that, it means that we might be getting into a long-term reversal. And wouldn't you like to get a high profit ratio entry into long-term trend, right? So let's say you're maybe 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 leverage, right? And you get that, and you have a 2% downside, but your upside is basically the height of the previous bull run, right? That's at least a 100-to-1 profit ratio. Now, in order to just break even with that, you need to hit it at least once, right? If you have a 100-to-1 profit ratio, you just need to get one win out of 100 trades. So there's really no reason not to long here, or say here on the active mean reversion condition, right? Because you might repeatedly stop out, and that's fine, because when you finally do hit that winning position, it's going to be profitable enough to justify the previous losses. Now, what's really nice is you can also take short entries based on that mean reversion pivot as well, right? As we did here. So these are very scalpable, where you can just take short entries right on top of that mean, and that's my alarm to do my live stream. Very nice. And if we actually do test that mean reversion pivot like we saw here, we can simply take the short entry on that and switch it to a long if we actually do end up going inside the band. So, all in all, really easy and consistent trading today. While I have no idea what's going to happen over the next 24 hours, what's nice is as soon as we actually get some definition, right, as soon as we touch this band, we can either aggressively short or aggressively long as soon as we're inside it. And that's really nice because these pivots hold hard. When we enter a mean reversion condition, we will go to the mean with around 95% probability. This happens again and again and again and again and again and so on. And even if we take the opposite, where we just bet on that trend continuation, well, I have good news for you. Well, we can take longs right on the band, right on the band, right on the band, right on the band. And then as soon as trend ends, boom, right there, we revert exactly to the mean. So there is money to be made today, my folks. You just got to be patient, right? We have the active trend. So either bet on trend continuation on the relevant pivot or bet on mean reversion when the condition is ended. Okay? That's about it for today. I'm going to keep this short because I still have the flu. It has been a pleasure. I will talk to you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. Might be a few minutes late tomorrow, but I'll try to be on time. I love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow at 1 p.m.